Hello and welcome back to Football League World TV. It's Friday afternoon, so it's time for another weekend preview. International breaks come to an end, so we've got a full fixture list to get through Championship, League One and League Two, and we've picked out a game in each division this Friday to take a look at a bit more in depth ahead of them all taking place. I'm your host, George Dagless. Joining me this afternoon are Chris Thorpe and Ben Wignall. Chris, how you getting on?
Yeah, not bad, George. Just enjoying the working day after the social yesterday.
Yeah. Less said about that, the better, I think, at this point. Ben, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Back to getting Championship football tomorrow. Obviously, being a PNE fan, it's been a long 2 weeks. And then we've got 6 games until the next international break. So, busy time for Championship clubs.
Cool. Right, let's get straight into the Championship then. And the game we've picked out to look at particularly in depth this weekend is Nottingham Forest's game with Cardiff City. Speculation continues to rumble around Chris Hughton. Obviously, before the international break, Forest start wasn't particularly good. A draw with Derby perhaps offered him a stay of execution, at least for now. But there are still rumours that he's very much on the brink of losing his job at Forest, and in the very near future, if results don't pick up, he could well be leaving the City ground. Chris, let's come to you first of all and talk Forest. It's obviously going to be a tough game against Cardiff, who have started pretty well, looking to challenge for the playoffs. How important do you think this game is in terms of Chris Hughton's future?
I think if it wasn't for Brennan Johnson's goal against Derby, I think he wouldn't be there now, if I'm being completely honest. So I think this is another massive game for him. It's sort of like when you play Football Manager and they give you that one more game, they give you a certain points limit that you need to get to keep your job. And it kind of feels like that he has to do that at the moment. And I feel like every game, his job is on the line. Really tough one coming up against Cardiff. I called them the set-piece kings because they're such a threat aerially. And I think Forest are going to struggle with defending against that tomorrow. So, massive game for Hughton. And they'll have to play really well to get a result, I would think.
Do you think potentially if Forest do lose this game, that'll be it for Hughton?
Yeah, I do actually, because I feel like they're the type of club that would have a replacement lined up already, and they might have already been in talks with someone. You never know. I don't think it should be ruled out that he could leave and then someone could come in either the same day or the day after. Some clubs just operate like that. They're always preparing for every eventuality, and I think there's every chance that he might be out of a job, particularly if they lose quite heavily on Saturday.
As for you, Ben, what do you make of Hughton's situation at the moment? Do you think this could be the real last chance to loon for him if they do lose this weekend, Forest?
Probably, yeah. I don't think they would have expected to have such a poor start to the season. 4 losses and a draw. Obviously, Cardiff's a tough game. There's no easy game in the Championship. But the threats they've got, especially from set pieces, I think Forest, if they're not, they've got Joe Worrell, who's a big lad, who could probably try and help fend off, but they've got so many threats, Cardiff, in the box from these set pieces that they can just overwhelm you. I think Forest owner, Marinakis, who also owns Olympiacos, he's been through a lot of managers this time as well. So it wouldn't shock me if this was Hughton's kind of last chance. If they lose on Sunday, it could be over. But Marinakis, I think, obviously with his relationship with Olympiacos, I think they've had a manager for like 3 years now. So maybe he's softening up a little bit and giving him a bit more time. He's let Hughton bring 4 players in on deadline day. I don't know if they're all his sidings. Maybe the transfer team were behind a few of them, but it does suggest that he might get a little bit more time to turn things around. But at the same time, it seems like a pretty unpredictable situation where he could be out of a job if they don't pick up a win on there.
Obviously, as for Cardiff, Chris, they've started pretty well this season. What have you made of what you've seen from them? Obviously, you've tagged them as the set piece kings already in this show. Clearly, you're impressed with what they do from set pieces. But what else have you sort of made from their start so far? They're looking pretty decent, aren't they?
Yeah, I really enjoy the wing backs that they use actually. So they're sort of playing this 3 at the back system at the moment under McCarthy, and it's working really well for them. Obviously they got the loanee in from Wolves, is it? I always get mixed up. Is it Giles or Wiles? Because they're both at
Giles,
Giles,
I've been really impressed with him so far. Great threat down the left. Sort of, if he can carry on having a good season for them, there's no reason why he couldn't break into the Wolves team. Maybe just further down the line. They made some impressive signings. I think if Kiefer Moore can keep on banging in the goals like he did last season, I think they'll have every chance of getting into the playoffs. Really. So great start. McCarthy knows the Championship like the back of his hand, and I think they'll be right up there for the long haul. Really.
Ben, is that something you'd echo in terms of Cardiff? Have you been impressed with what you've seen so far from them?
Yeah, they're pretty much a team. You know what you're going to get with them, don't you? They're very kind of one-dimensional, very direct. But when you've got a striker like Kiefer Moore, obviously he can play to his feet as well. But with his aerial ability, I think you've got to play that way to get the best out of him. And when you've got threats like Flint and Morrison from set pieces, you've got to tap into that as well. Obviously, like Chris said, Giles has been an impressive player. He was kind of like a bit part player for Coventry and Rotherham, more as a wing back last season. But McCarthy's pushed him forward. He can play all down that left hand side, and his delivery could cause Forest a few problems on Sunday. They're definitely in that pack of teams behind your Fulhams, your West Broms, your Bournemouth, who you'd expect to be challenging for the playoffs. You've got like QPR, Stoke, Borough, who have all in that kind of same group. The only worry I would have is maybe didn't add enough in terms of signings this summer. Obviously, Ryan Wintle signed from Crews, gone straight out on loan to Blackpool. And I think the 1 week area they do have on the pitch is probably Leandro Bacuna is a player that gets criticised quite a lot by Cardiff fans as perhaps not doing enough on the pitch, not having much of an output. Maybe Cardiff could have brought another player in like an attacking midfield role or a right wing role to help him out a little bit, because he had Harry Wilson last year. Obviously, he's moved on to Fulham, but I think if they keep the start they've had to the season up, I don't see why they won't be in and around the playoffs. But at the same time, I think that they might have lack a little bit of depth going forward.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see how Cardiff get on the rest of the season in terms of their playoff hope. Let's just get to score prediction then before we move on from this game. Chris, how do you see this one going?
I'm going to go for 2-1 Cardiff. I feel like Forest will take the lead, but then Cardiff's sort of aerial threat will pay off at some point.
All right.
So 2.
Ben, is that something you'd back as well?
I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to go draw. I think Forest will be right up for it. The fans will be up for it after a couple of weeks break. Obviously, they got that late equaliser against Derby before the international break, and that might have kind of lifted spirits a little bit, even though they would have wanted the win. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
Okay, yeah, no, I think it could be a draw as well. I could see them cancelling each other out this weekend. So that's the Championship done. Let's move into League One. Two of the early players in League One meet this weekend. Sunderland take on Accrington. Obviously, Sunderland, one of the favourites at the start of the season for promotion, and Accrington, as they so often have done in recent years in League One, really impressing, having a really good start to the season and up near the sharp end. Chris, obviously, you look at the early stage in the table. These are the two teams that are right up the top. Are you expecting both of them to be there come the end of the year?
I don't want to write off Accrington already because obviously they started really well, but it's a long stretch, League One, and obviously when you get into around where the playoffs get decided, that's when you really need to keep your form high. So I'd say more, I expect Sunderland to be up there. I think everyone does. Like with Accrington, it would be a shock if they were in and around the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see if they can stay up there. But yeah. Realistically speaking, I think it will only be Sunderland that makes those spots really. But I don't want to write off Stanley too much. Like they're obviously good at what they do, and obviously John Coleman's a great manager. But yeah, I'm not sure if they'll sit it out for the long haul.
Okay. This game obviously then between two teams that are right at the top. Ben, for you, Accrington, a team that can genuinely challenge Sunderland this season in terms of the promotion race, and obviously, with this game coming up, it's a good opportunity for them to sort of make a little bit of a statement, I guess, by getting a result against them.
Yeah, it is. first for Accrington, obviously one of the lower budgets in the division, they're going to find it very difficult to sustain over a long period. And the results are getting, I think they've faced a few teams that do look a little bit weak, but you can only beat what's put in front of you, basically. And that's what they're doing. I don't think they'll be overrode by a team like Sunderland. And obviously they've played them in the previous few seasons, and going to a stadium that's going to have a big atmosphere and around 30,000 people in, I don't think it's something they're going to by. And they've got a pretty strong team, like Charles and Bishop up front. I think Charles has been on international duty, but he might come back in. They've not scored yet this season either, Bishop or Charles. And Mumbongo came in, someone we talked about on the preview show on Friday, and he got his first goal. It was a tap-in, but Coleman's got some like selection issues to go through ahead of this game. But I can't see them sustaining the good form over the course of the season. January will be very important as well, because you can imagine if Bishop and Charles start scoring again, bids will come, as in Peterborough bid for Bishop on deadline day, and it wasn't enough for Andy Holt to accept. And if Charles can pick up his scoring form from last season, then I can see him being in and around this mid-season. But like they did last season, they tailed off a little bit around March time, and it'll probably be another season of mid-table, I can see. But yeah, you never know. That Accrington have been surprising people for a number of years, and they could easily make that push into the playoffs.
Chris, let's just talk a little bit more about Sunderland now. Obviously, you know, someone like Charlie White left in the summer, and obviously took the goals that he scored with him. You know, last season had a really great campaign. But someone like Ross Stewart has obviously, you know, started really well for Sunderland, and they're looking pretty good. Do you think this year could finally be the one where they eventually get themselves out of League One, back into the Championship, and start giving their fans a little bit more to celebrate after, you know, so many years where it's been pretty tough for them?
I think it will be, because I feel like winning the Papa John's Trophy last season has given them the confidence to know that they can actually achieve things and, you know, get that silverware. Obviously, whether it's the playoffs or automatic, who knows? But I feel like this year could be the year. Not just Stewart doing well, obviously, but you've got Embleton in there behind him in the number 10 role. You've got Gooch on the right, who's got such a good work rate and is always a threat. And then obviously McGeady, who's the most skillful player in the league despite his age. Yeah, they got some really good options, and then they've also recruited really smartly, like free agents such as Pritchard and Evans. I think are really clever. They're two players who could arguably play in the league higher, but they've chosen to go to the Stadium of Light. So it just shows what Lee Johnson's pulling power is like, and you know, I think they're really building momentum already. So yeah, I think this year could be their year.
Okay, let's have your score prediction then for this one, Chris.
2-1 Sunderland. Probably the same as sort of the Forest game. I feel like Accrington will give them a tough match and maybe take the lead, and then Sunderland come back. I think the home crowd is so strong, it really sort of goes in their favour, to be honest.
Ben, can you see a Sunderland win as well this weekend?
Yeah, I can see him keeping up the good form. I think it's going to be a 3-1 win. I think just the strength of the likes of McGeady, Gooch, Stewart, it'll be a little bit too much for Accrington.
Okay, we'll see. I for some reason fancy a draw. I'm not too sure why. I just feel like it's the sort of result Accrington could potentially get to keep up their own early good season form. Okay, let's move away from League One. Let's dip into League Two for a minute. Take a look at Harrogate and Newport going head to head. Harrogate obviously started really well this season, top of League Two. Newport obviously have had a couple of games they've missed, matches in hand, but they're going to, you would imagine, be there or thereabouts in the playoff picture again this season. It's a good opportunity though, Chris, isn't it, for Harrogate to again lay down a marker, and obviously, you know, they've started this season really well. A really impressive win at Mansfield last time out. It's another opportunity for them to show what they can do against a team that has so often been in that playoff conversation in recent years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just Harrogate overall impressed me by the way they runs a club and how obviously you've got that unique situation where Simon Weaver's dad is the chairman, which is really interesting. But bringing Jack Diamond back, that's another big boost for them, along with obviously winning against Mansfield last time out, 3-1 away, which is a big statement of intent. And I think they could be up there for the long haul. League Two is one of those leagues where the unfancies teams are usually up there. I've seen it in the past with Wimbledon. We spent most of the season we went up like down in lower mid-table, and then you can go on a run, and then we ended up in the playoffs. They're having their run right now, and I think the hope will be that they can continue it. But I definitely think bringing in someone of Jack Diamond's quality is a great addition. Play him on the left or the right, and I'm kind of shocked that Sunderland let him go out on loan. Really, I thought he did pretty well in what was like his breakthrough campaign for them last season. But their loss is definitely Harrogate's gain, and I would be backing them to get another win at home.
Okay. As for Newport, Ben, obviously a game in hand on most of the teams above them. You have to look at how tight the table is. They've got 7 points down in 15th, but 7th place Hartlepool, which is obviously the last playoff place. They've only got 2 points more with 9. So it shows that Newport are by no means, despite their sort of league position, out of the the playoff conversation, particularly this early stage. They got a draw obviously last time out with Leyton Orient, another team that are going to be expected to be in and around the playoffs this year. It's another good opportunity for them tonight, isn't it, to try and really show that they're going to be there or thereabouts once again this season.
Yeah, they always seem to be in and around the playoffs, and I think it's testament to what Michael Flynn has done there. They won't have the biggest budget in the league, and they always just seem to be up there, like in the promotion race and the playoffs. And they also seem to have a good cup run every few years that keeps the supporters of the higher leagues obviously keeping an eye on them. They've not had a great start to the season. Obviously, I think they got battered at Salford a few weeks ago, which, considering their poor start to the season, I know they've got a strong starting 11 Salford, but the way they've played in other games, it was a bit worrying to see Newport lose 3-0. But I think they've made a lot of changes during the summer. Newport, they've still obviously got Kevin Ellison in and around there who can get a goal or two, even I think he's like 42 now. I think that it's going to be tough going up to Harrogate. Obviously, it's a long trip for them. Harrogate have got a lot of confidence going into this as well, being top of the table. But Newport are a very solid team on the day, and I could probably see them cancelling each other out in this one.
Okay. So you're backing a draw then, Ben?
Yeah, 1-1 for me.
1-0. Chris, is that something you can see as well?
No, I'll go with what I said initially. Definitely a home win for me.
Okay. I think we could see. I think we could see Harrogate win as well. To be honest, I think I'm backing them to maintain their great start to the season in League Two. Just before we go, we've had a message in actually from Benji Smith on Facebook, so let's bring that up. Thoughts on Birmingham against Derby, Troy Deeney being back? I mean, obviously Birmingham started really well, but I think you'd have to say Derby have started pretty well as well, given what was expected of them at the start of the season. How do you see this one going, Chris, in the Championship?
Tough one to call that. I think there could be a lot of goals, maybe a 2-2 draw. I think the way Troy Deeney's signing's been celebrated, it's up there with Ronaldo going back to Man United. The publicity I've seen around it, it's a sort of a real homecoming. Obviously, Blue supporter when he was growing up. So I think it's sort of set up for him to score and make some more headlines probably.
Yeah, certainly could be written in the script. Ben, what's your thoughts on this particular game?
Well, I think Derby have started the season a little bit better than anyone was expecting. I think some bookmakers were not even giving odds on relegation for them because it seemed like pretty much certainty. But I think they've got 3 draws in 5 games and a win. So it's solid stuff considering the squad they've got. They've got obviously a few injuries as well, and Rooney's been restricted as well in the transfer market, not be able to bring more free agents in. But I think the way Birmingham have started, and obviously Deeney's arrivals brought the fans back on side. They're not fully on side with the ownership, but I think the likes of Chong, Woods coming in, it's all very positive signs. Don't think they'll be in a relegation battle this season like they have been for the last few, and I can see him probably winning 2-3-1 maybe tonight at St Andrews.
Yeah, I think I fancy Birmingham to win as well. I really like the way they've started. I think Lebo is obviously getting a really great tune out of that team now. And there's signs of that happening towards the end of last season too. I think Derby have obviously started really well. Given how much they were written off, and I think they're going to be a stern test. You look at the experience they've got at the back as well, that they can boast against Birmingham. But I just think it looks like St Andrews is a really happy place to be at the moment for the players, and it looks like the momentum's with them. So I think they might just edge out the Rams as well. That brings an end to the weekend preview. This week on Football League World TV. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have the opportunity to. That'd be greatly appreciated. Chris and Ben, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. Myself and Ben will be back actually at 4 p.m. for the EFL betting show, so do tune in for a few tips. Some will be good, some more than likely will be bad. We'll see what happens. But we'll catch you then. Thanks for joining us.